What's up everyone? On January 21st there will be a Resident Evil Online showcase as announced by Capcom on their Twitter. And during that event there will not only be a new Resident Evil Village trailer, but also actual gameplay footage of the game. And Capcom said in an official announcement that there will be, and I quote, more Resident Evil news, unquote. And before we dive deeper into this other Resident Evil news, which we're going to discuss, I just want to say I absolutely cannot wait to see more of this game. What about you, David?
Definitely. Resident Evil is on the top of my list of most anticipated games this year. So with every glimpse we're getting of the game, I'm getting more excited.
Absolutely, and I just want to say that Capcom has really been on a roll with Resident Evil games, well, with Resident Evil mainline games the past couple of years. I mean, they really nailed that Resident Evil 2 remake, they really got the Resident Evil 3 remake right, and Resident Evil 7, and it looks like they're now ramping up to get a great Resident Evil 8 game out. So, together with this announcement, they released a really short video that shows different clips of the game. So I just want to have a look at that together with you to see what we can actually discover in these small gameplay glimpses. So over here you can see in that small trailer, we can see the castle that we know will appear in the game. Then we can also see some kind of underground location. I'm not sure what it is, but it perhaps connects to the next underground location that we can see over here. I mean, what is this supposed to be, David?
This is a classic torture dungeon, prison section we're getting to see. It's probably underneath the castle or even could be underneath the village.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it looks right where it belongs.
Yeah, it looks right in place in a Resident Evil game. And I like that we're going back to, you know, instead of Resident Evil 7, which was in rural America, in modern America, this goes back to that, I don't know, medieval style. And I love that we're seeing then these influences like this torture chamber. Then we see here, I don't know, what are we seeing here?
Yeah, it looks like where the staircase from before is leading towards. And to me, it looks like a sort of bat-like creature that is walking there. For me, it just looks like a bat because it got this Victorian, medieval, Dracula style. But it could be anything, really.
Yeah, and then the pointy hands and the strange legs. I mean, this could be like, I don't know, a hybrid between a bat and a human, definitely. And then this, David. So the internet is going crazy about this huge, gigantic lady, which appears to be a giant. That wasn't really obvious in the previous trailer, where we've also seen this lady. But now it's pretty clear that she is actually, I don't know, 2.5 meters tall. And the internet absolutely loves her. David, what do you think about this character?
They made her freakishly large, and she has both this scary and seductive sense about her, and she just looks like she could be really scary when she's chasing you.
Yeah, she reminds me of Mr. X from Resident Evil 2, in that she's also, of course, huge, but she also really has much more of a personality and much more character traits. And I really like what Capcom is doing with this character. And I'm not the only one, because the internet is going absolutely crazy about her. We've seen some great Twitter posts. This Twitterer says, guys, the vampire lady is actually extremely tall. Then let the age of the tall Resident Evil lady begin. And then people are already making fan artwork of her. So it looks like we will definitely see more of her in the showcase in 2 weeks. Next week. But in this small gameplay footage, we can also see this piece of gameplay looks like it's from the beginning of the game. Because we've already known that in the beginning you start in this farming location where you will start with a farmer in a house, and he will actually give you a pistol, and later you will get a shotgun. And why I think this is in the beginning of the game is because we can see a little bit of the HUD, and we can see you only have 2 weapons and not a lot of bullets. So you only have 2 shotgun shells and 7 handgun bullets. And for me that looks like this is really at the beginning of the game. And next week, they will really show us that first part of the game. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I definitely think this is at the beginning of the game because you're having a knife and 2 guns, and I think they're gonna show this whole gameplay section in the showcase.
Yeah, and it's already known that in the beginning, so one of the first fights will actually be against these werewolf people that are being led by this giant with this warhammer that's swinging around, and they're setting things on fire and making trouble in this village. Definitely, we will probably see the beginning of the game next week during that showcase. Then something else very interesting we can see in this video clip, and that is this carriage over here. It's not really 100% sure what this is, but if you ask me, this looks like this is going to be connected to the strange witch merchant lady, and this is probably her shop.
I also think they put this in as something that's really important to Resident Evil. The merchants are always a place you can get new supplies and get to calm down. So I think they put this in as an indication that this is really a Resident Evil game, and I also think it's a shop. Yeah. We'll probably see this in the whole game, so the carriage probably will pop up everywhere.
Yeah,
once in a while.
Yeah, I think so too. And you can also see in the gameplay clip something comes out of the carriage. It's probably her stall or something like that. And indeed, I think she will follow the player throughout the different locations. She will pop up with her carriage, and you will be able to sell your jewels to her, and she will be able to sell weapons to you, armor, things like that. However, this event will not only be a Resident Evil Village event, this is also a Resident Evil event, meaning that we will see other things that are not necessarily connected to Resident Evil Village, whatever those may be. So some things that we might hear something about during this showcase is Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, which is a Netflix series, which has been announced, but we don't really know anything about. Only that it will star Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield. So then perhaps we might also hear or see something about the Resident Evil 2021 movie, which is supposed to be a reboot of the film series and will basically chronologically follow the first game. Are you looking forward to that movie, David?
I'm always looking forward to a new Resident Evil movie. This one is made by the director of 47 Meters Below, which isn't a really good movie, but a really fun movie. So I think it's in good hands.
Well, the Resident Evil movies also always weren't that good. They were, but they had definitely entertainment value. So I'm actually also quite curious to see what they make of that. Then it is unlikely that we will see the Resident Evil 4 remake, which is almost certain to happen. It hasn't been officially announced, but we all know Capcom is working on it, and we all know that everybody wants this remake. However, we will probably not see that, I believe, because it is still in early production, and also because I don't think they really want to steal the spotlight from Resident Evil 8, which is supposed to come out in April this year. So probably nothing about the Resident Evil 4 remake. However, we know from a hack at Capcom and from some leaked sales documents that Capcom is actually planning Resident Evil 4 VR for the Oculus, which is also supposed to come out in April 2021. So that perhaps will also be part of the focus of the show. Is that something that you look forward to, David?
I think Resident Evil 4 deserves to be played by as many people as possible, and if they could have made the first-person VR perspective work, it would be really cool to play.
Yeah, that's interesting, because Resident Evil 4 is a third-person game. It's actually very well known for that, for innovating this over-the-shoulder perspective. So I'm curious how Capcom will handle that, and if they will actually make it a first-person game, because that would be the first time you can play Resident Evil 4 in VR. And, well, I'm actually kind of curious how that looks. So I am expecting to hear more about that. Then Capcom will probably also detail Resident Evil Village Online. We know a new multiplayer Resident Evil is coming because there were already some Resident Evil ambassadors, which is like a fan group of Resident Evil fans, an official fan group, who are able to now already register for this game. And supposedly this beta might come out soon, David, right?
Yeah, the closed beta test is open for registration and will run at the end of January. So, and they announced we'll get to see more of it during the showcase. So we'll probably see the 4 to 6 player multiplayer in action.
So probably we'll hear something about that. What about
and of course the village setting is perfect in my opinion for a multiplayer game like this.
Yeah, I think so too. It can work in interesting ways, especially when players have to work together and they throw in enemies, these wolf pack enemies, at those players. I think that could definitely be an interesting scenario for a multiplayer game. Do you think we will see the current generation versions?
I don't think they will show it, but I think they're still working on it, optimizing it, and I really trust Capcom with the old gen. They're really good at making new games work on all the generations, so I think it will be a good way to play the Resident Evil Village if you don't have a new next-gen console. So.
Yes, we still have a lot of shortages for the next generation consoles. So the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X are still hard to come by. So it would be a great possibility for those people stuck on current gen consoles. Current gen, while I'm saying current gen, it's actually previous gen. So on the previous gen consoles to still experience Resident Evil 8. Would be nice, of course, if they could show some gameplay next week during the showcase. And with that said, well, that's the Resident Evil update this week. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment below and give us a big fat like. Also go to twitch.tv/nextgen_live to tune in when we are streaming new and old games. Thank you very much and we'll see you next time.